Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is Thursday night, and if you're watching the Horror Syndicate Discourse. And tonight we're talking about the Wolfman and the Wolfman. Titles are actually a little bit different. Why didn't they put what is that little dash in between, Wolf and Man, like Spider-Man? Why isn't it Phil Spider-Man? Anyway,
that'll be the next reboot.
That's the next one. The 2000. It'll be another 60 years or so. The 2070 reboot of the no, they'll make sure it comes out in 2041. So we got about 20 years left. Anyway, right now we've got Seth, the werewolf lover, Miller. He's going to explain to you doubters why the 2010 The Wolfman is a good movie. Because he's been saying, I think that's the first thing he sent to me after the friend request. It's like, not hi, my name's Seth Miller, how you doing? It's the 2010 Wolfman is a good movie. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Like written on the back of his business card.
Yeah. You should have a card that just says the Wolfman is 2010 is a good movie. So we're curious to see what you guys think out there also. So let us know. You know the deal. You can say, what's up, guys? Like Nick Wood. You can say, what's up, guys? We hope you're well, too. And we've got Nathan, of course, with us today. He's fully vaccinated and ready to go. Did you get Halloween?
No.
Oh, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing to me?
That was part of his collection. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand. So he has a store?
He had a store called Nerdy Planet back in Louisville, and then they moved, where they are now, and so it hasn't opened yet because of COVID and all that. But it's all there; it's all ready to go. But we'll see.
That's awesome. I'll have to visit if I ever come out that way, which I plan to for whenever you release your movie, Dark and Bloody Ground. Can I do the trailer voiceover? I've been practicing.
Sure, let's hear it.
In a world
where ground
in a
are
world
dark and bloody.
Kentucky in the 1980s. Anyway,
no one was alive then.
Nobody was alive, and there may or may not be a secret in the town looming. I don't know. Anyway,
none of them had shoes.
They were too busy on the power lines. Right. Hit the share button. We are waiting for Jared. He broke his ankle or something like that last week. So it takes him an extra 25 minutes to get to the computer, apparently. Anyway, let's dig into the Wolfman. We're talking 1940. I don't know how to actually format this episode. Compare and contrast. It's not really a versus thing because they're both good in their own right, I think. But I do want to ask, I know how Seth feels, but Nate, how did you feel about the 2010 Wolfman?
I remember when I first saw it, it didn't wow me, but I didn't think it was bad. But it wasn't one of those movies I said, I got to watch this again. It wasn't like that. So, I watched it again. I know we'll get more into it. It's not bad at all. It's got a lot of cool stuff. In many ways, I think it's one of the most badass werewolf movies. Just for the werewolf alone.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of any other movie where we've seen a werewolf that destructive, like that's frightening, and that like he's like a cannonball loose in a it's like bam, it's just boom, boom. People are just running with their arms off, and people, just massacres to the point where it's like, I don't think I've seen that in a werewolf movie before. That much carnage and that much just massacring people.
Yeah,
and that opening gypsy camp scene or whatever, he just going through and just fucking people up. I'm like, and just the way he's moving, and it's and I like that also because he is the wolf man. Because there's always that there's a naked bipedal guy or the small guy, the wolf guy, but this is like the classic wolf man, and he's not corny. He's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I agree. There are some really cool things that they did in this movie, and we will get into it, that I really like. This was actually in 2010, my wife and I's Valentine's date was to go see The Wolfman. I don't know how many times I've said it, but she is terrified of werewolves. Well, she was, pardon me. She was terrified of werewolves. The Howling and American Werewolf in London killed her as a kid, just totally scared the hell out of her. And even they're not werewolves, but the devil dogs or whatever they are in Ghostbusters, she was terrified of those things. So I took her on Valentine's Day. She loved it. She absolutely loved it. She's a big fan of Benicio del Toro. There's a lot of cool stuff in this movie. I don't know why it gets hate. Anybody out there who is watching who hates this movie, tell me why in the comments. I want to know why. It's we're all looking forward to Nate's new film.
Thanks, Nick.
And tell us why you don't like the movie. We'll discuss whatever you say in the comments, of course. Seth, tell us about your love for this. Why do you love it so much? There's Jared.
Hello.
Off camera till you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm just trying to plug in my headset.
Okay.
Or my.
Go ahead, Seth. I'll mute him for a minute.
And go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, the original Wolfman from 1941 is, as you guys know, it's my favorite of the classic Universal monster movies. And I'm a big werewolf guy, and I don't know if you guys knew that.
No, I had
but
no
I
clue.
like one or two werewolf movies. Yeah, and
bullshit.
So I was pretty excited for this movie when it was out, and there's a lot of production problems behind it, so it was delayed for a while, and we'll get into that later. But anyway, when I first saw it, I almost had a similar reaction to Nate, where it was like, well, I liked it, but I didn't quite overly love it. I thought it was a good movie, but it felt weird. It felt like there was something missing from it. And even then, it was. I saw on the internet it was getting a lot of hate, and I didn't understand it then. But then after it was released on home video, and they put out the unrated director's cut, and I saw that, it felt like more of a complete movie. And there's a lot of differences between the two cuts. I did just revisit the theatrical a couple weeks ago, but like one of the things, they took out a lot of like the character stuff, especially the stuff between Sir John Talbot and Lawrence. Like a lot of that stuff was cut out. A lot of the conflict was cut out, and to have it back, I just love that movie. I think it's. I think my thing with it is it kind of goes with my philosophy on what I consider as a good remake. I don't really care for stuff like Gus Van Sant's Psycho, or even the Cabin Fever remake, where it's the same script or the same shots. Like, I prefer types of remakes that stay faithful to a point, but then they manage to establish their own identity, and I thought they did that pretty well. When we go to compare the two films, there's a lot of things that they did that they took from the 1941 movie, and they just kind of flipped it around, especially the relationship between Lawrence and his father. But I think it's just a really entertaining movie. I like Danny Elfman's score. I love the sets. They all look great. It really looked.
It was Danny Elfman
to me. It was Danny Elfman.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. There's a little.
He's
bit
got his
behind
fingers
that.
in everything.
What's Seth?
I do have some information on that too, because actually Danny Elfman's score was actually rejected, and then he was busy working on a movie with Tim Burton. He couldn't come back to work on his score, so they hired somebody else to start fresh. They hired Paul Haslam, did the score 3 out of the 5 Underworld movies, but because his was very like electronic, it didn't really fit with the period piece thing, so they got rid of that, and then they brought in like 3 different composers to kind of work Danny Elfman's score. So what you hear in the movie is not it's largely Danny Elfman, but there's also stuff in there that's not Danny Elfman.
Yeah,
just a little side note.
I got Elfman vibes. I didn't realize it was him. I'm like, oh, God, this movie sounds like an Elfman.
Yeah,
I have nothing against him.
And
He's a one-trick pony. He most of his scores sound very similar to me. So,
yeah,
but there's Wolfman and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So anyway,
just going back to what I love about it, like I said, like the score, it looked authentic. It looked like it, was a movie that was in the 1800s. Everyone talks shit about the CGI special effects, but those are only for a few sequences, and they're really missing Rick Baker's excellent makeup effects. The Wolfman design himself is fantastic, and especially I love the way that he stayed faithful to Jack Pierce with the design of the werewolf. I thought it was great, and just I don't know, lots of great stuff. I don't want to talk this entire time, so.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I got plenty of more stuff to talk about.
All right. So, Jared, you have seen both movies, right?
Yes, I just saw the remake last night, and under your guys' advisement, I watched the unrated director's cut. So I didn't really have anything to base off of, but it was definitely a really good remake. When it came out, I totally put it on the back burner. I was like, they're remaking the Wolfman, for some reason, Jared, are you okay, buddy?
I told him you broke your butt, your ankle,
Oh, no.
or whatever. I don't remember. You broke something.
I am healing slowly, but I don't know. When the movie first came out, I just was adverse to seeing it. I don't know if it was just the dick in me that just didn't want to watch it or whatever, but I totally take back the last 10 years that I waited to watch the movie when I watched it.
That's cool.
It's kind of like Seth was alluding to. It's not your average remake. They did a really good job of keeping it slow and the gothic feel. The first hour, I felt like it was just this feels like an old 60s, 70s Hammer horror or Universal horror movie throughout it. The only thing that I would like to poke holes in is Larry's and Gwen's relationship, but from the original, but obviously their dynamics were way different in the storyline. So, you really can't pick that apart too much, but I just really like their dynamic in the original because it's fun and it's, how as they say, charming.
Yeah, and yeah. So, says Ray, go ahead and start laughing. It's because you said the dick in me, and I was just went to the wrong place.
She said.
So yeah.
God damn it!
You're a detective.
So yeah. The 1941 movie is a really great movie. They tried to make a werewolf movie with the werewolf in London, and was it 35 or so, I think, and that wasn't to me that wasn't all that good. Did you like that one, Seth? What's up, Scott?
Yes, actually, I did, and that's one of the things I find interesting. Wolfman remake too is, I don't know if you caught this, Ray, but John Talbot's backstory was pretty much taken from Werewolf of London. It was that was the almost the same backstory as that character. So I thought that was kind of cool that they acknowledge that.
I was hoping for a scene with Talbot after the transformation. He stops after he's leaving the house to put a scarf on and a hat, because in Werewolf of London the main character does that, which I love.
Cold out there, man.
It's cold out there. Got to bundle up before you go out wolfing. But yeah, there's the thing I take away from watching the 2010 movie versus the 41. I love the 41 movie. I love Lon Chaney Jr. How smooth he is at the beginning of the movie after being a peeping Tom. But I just love how smooth he is and how great he is. I'm sure I'll buy the cane that's got the wolf head on it. It's made out of pure silver. But it feels like they took the 41 movie and added some things to it, and then not bad things either. There's a lot like him going back to London, or was it London, where he goes back to with Hugo Weaving. But that's another thing. Both movies have fantastic casts.
I was wondering that about the Kane, like who and what was like Max von Sydow. What was his deal? I must have got lost in that. Like, because he's the one who gives the cane, leaves it. He's like almost like he's insisting. Like, is he aware that? Is it part of the setup? Is that what it is, or what is it? Like, what is Max von Sydow's character?
I just looked at it as that was a nice placement for the.
Was that Max von Sydow or was it?
It was Max von Sydow.
Yeah.
He looked exactly like Christopher Plummer to me. God.
I just wonder, like,
look alike to me. So,
like, he's so insistent on giving him this cane that it's like,
to have this.
Is there was there something missing from the script, or I never saw it addressed in the movie.
Right. Oh, in the original cut, they had Max von Sydow come out from behind a tree at the end of the movie, go, shh.
I'm taking it back.
Yeah. I don't know. I was wondering about that too. Like, was it like?
Did he have like the plans to Luke Skywalker in there somewhere?
Well, it's funny because Benicio del Toro was in The Last Jedi, but he's a master code breaker. He didn't break that code though. No. I wondered that he had almost like a kind of like a mystical aura about him, and it almost felt like he knew. In a way, what was going to happen, but they never really revisited that at all. But I don't know. That's a great question. Nate, are you?
Yeah. The last one.
The last one in his basement.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great question, Nate. Because in the 41 movie. By the way, I want to address this right away. The 1941 Wolfman movie is not based on any prior work. If anybody has ever wondered, because I know there are a lot of people that I know that think it's based off of a book, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's all original. Oh no, it's based off a book like Bram Stoker's Dracula and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. I was like, okay, who wrote it then? When did it come out? I don't know. I'll have to look that up. Okay,
the screenwriter was a novelist. But
yeah. But it was created for the movie, not
he wrote it for the film. Yeah.
But but anyway, like I like the way he gets the cane in the movie in 41 because it's all about hitting on the girl and trying to get her to come out.
Yeah.
And he's a piece of work because she's about to be married to some guy. And then in the 2010 movie, that
she's way out of his league in 41.
For sure.
It's a much more organic way. And do they even use it in the remake? I don't remember. Does it have a purpose?
I think it was just like
because Hugo Weaving like take off with it and like he doesn't even use it on the Wolfman, does he?
He probably just saw, hey, that's badass.
Hey, that's cool. I'm gonna take that.
I'll take it with me.
They're dead. I just saw him die.
Yeah.
There's a lot of empty things there. Like why? Because when I saw him grab it, I was like, he's gonna end up saving her and stabbing him with it, and that didn't happen.
Which would make sense based on how he kills Bella in the first movie, in the original movie, with the cane.
Yeah.
It's a good question. Seth, you got anything on that?
It might have just been something spontaneous in the reshoot because I think originally Hugo Weaving's character died. And originally that's what they were intending, but that as it goes, when they're making the movie, they realize that there's more potential to a character, and then of course they were kind of setting up for a sequel, right, with this character because he was now wounded. I don't know. The whole thing with the cane, even with how Lawrence gets it, it is a little, like you said, it's not addressed at all, about how he gets it. And, of course, there's the potential, but they don't do anything with it, with the fact that it has a blade in there. But,
well, no, he stabbed his dad.
I don't know.
There's a scene in the movie where the blade gets pulled. Wasn't it against his father? And he stabs him or something like that. Something like that happens. What's up, Becky?
Yeah, wasn't it like?
But
I think he intended to, right?
or maybe it was maybe it was Elrond that stabbed somebody. I can't remember.
Maybe opens a letter with it or something. That's what purpose.
I swear he uses it at some point. Like
maybe he does.
I can't remember. Like
I just think Mike Sponsydal was in town and said, "Hey, we're getting this train scene." Nice.
And then and Larry takes it off the train with he's like fuck it, I'll take it. It's instead of he could have just left it there. Like taking it to the conductor. Hey, where's the lost and found? I found this.
Hey, have you all seen The Exorcist? He left his cane on the train.
the actual Exorcist. I don't know. I think they probably just threw the cane in there just to like a callback to the original movie.
Just a nod. It's just a shame because I kept thinking is this going to pay off? Who is this guy? And I mean, I thought maybe it was like he's a seer. He knew that Larry would need it because maybe he knew that because he doesn't he offer it after he finds out where he's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he says, "I'm going,"
Right, and that's the thing too. Is like, I believe, if I remember correctly, from when I was looking this stuff up, he mentioned that he got some village, and the village that he name dropped was a place where there were stories of attacks, like animal attacks, stuff like that. And I don't recall.
Was it Blackmore?
No, well, so. Blackmore is where they were going, but where Maxwell said he originally got the cane from was a village somewhere. I forgot what he said. And I don't recall if it was in any connection to where, John Talbot has been, because he mentioned he traveled a lot. He was bitten by the bull when he was like up on a mountain or something like that. I don't know if maybe there was some sort of connection between the two. And not to mention, if he was a character who knew about John, you have to think that Ben Talbot was his first kill since the mother. So, that could have, I don't know.
He was going to be Van Helsing. I bet he's Van Helsing. That's who he is.
Yeah. He's actually his brother, Stan Helsing. That's Stan. Yeah.
Stan.
It would have been cool if his character was explored further after the fact, but
maybe it was planned for the sequel.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, there was what was there? Didn't they still go through production on the proposed sequel, but it didn't end up having connection with the Wolfman? Is that right?
Right. Well, yeah. The Werewolf: The Beast Among Us, which was released in 2012, direct video, was actually intended to be. I think it was intended to be a spin-off. I think it was intended to be some sort of like maybe a pre. And even though they canceled that plan when the Wolfman failed at the box office, there's still some stuff in it, like Ray's favorite line of even a man who is pure in heart. I know he wants to hear that 50 more times.
I want to hear it again. Well, in the original movie, they say it 4 times total, 3 times within like a 3-minute period.
3 times within the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I'm not even joking. It's ridiculous. It's like, come on,
get
it.
Oh, you know that too?
Everybody in that fucking town knows that goddamn line. It's like it must be the town motto.
I love it. Everybody knows about werewolves.
Yeah,
they don't.
Like is that from something else, or is that originally for the movie?
I have to imagine it's from the movie.
Yeah, because like the writer probably was like, I got something cool. We got to stick it in there 3 times, or you can't have my script. And it's got to be all within 60 seconds of each other.
I'll just say it.
I remember from the original Dracula movie, there is a mention of Wolfsbane, but it's like not the exact same line. And I've mentioned it before, but I don't know if there's like something that like they have in their group. Is it like a flower? I had heard today
It's
And that
10
Hey,
John-
episodes.
not a flower guy.
And the John Landis special that like Bram Stoker basically combined the vampire and werewolf mythos in Dracula. That's why like Dracula turns into a werewolf or wolf and bat and all that. So yeah, so Dracula is a combination of the two.
Mm.
Bram Stoker did whatever the fuck he wanted.
He just like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah, I mean he could because he was the originator of Dracula. So
I'm gonna have him turn into a clown.
you guys remember 2016 when everybody was dressing up like clowns to scare people?
Yeah.
I watched a YouTube video yesterday about it. I totally forgot about this. Maybe they should do that again just for fun.
So we focus on the original.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go into the original because the original I do prefer. Seth, obviously you do too. Nate, Zombie Survivor. Do you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I like.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to compare the two. Like that comparison is. I think one of the problems with the remake. I didn't think Lawrence was as likable as a character.
Yeah.
And I didn't find him that interesting as a character. I didn't find hardly anyone really interesting. Like Emily Blunt's character is like, well, she might as well not even be there in some ways. Hopkins was really
we need to get a female in this movie stat.
Well, I think Hopkins may have been the most interesting character.
Yeah,
he's
well, he always is.
Showcased enough. Well, just the character alone as written is interesting. I just like, what's that line where he says, "I'm look in my eyes, I'm quite dead," or something like that. I really like that.
Look into my eyes, I'm dead.
Yeah, like there's something. I love that character. I want a prequel about him. That's what I want. Like, because I thought he was really interesting. But overall, I think that's what's missing. Even like some of the coolest characters from like my favorite character part of the original is the gypsy woman. What's her name? Mal.
Yeah.
I think she's fantastic.
Maliva.
Maliva, and like the actress. I wanted to know more about her, and I was reading today. What's her name's Marie something? What is I can't pronounce. It's a Russian name. She's from Russia, and she was a stage actress for most of her young career, and then she moved over to film, and she actually like got an Oscar nomination her first time out. But not only that, but she was an instructor. She learned from Stanislavski. That's who taught her in Russia. And then when she came to America, she was one of the co-founders of the Dramatic School of Arts in New York City. So she taught dance. She was a dancer. She was a singer, and she was like 5'1" or so, or 4'1" or something really little.
Little lady.
4'1", I guess, and never weighed over 100 pounds. But they
portion control.
Well, what was really heartbreaking is I don't know if you heard how she died.
Was she mauled by a wolf?
No, she fell asleep smoking and burned herself.
Oh
up
my
and
God!
And had a stroke.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How old was she?
I'm gonna say in the 70s, maybe. Should say 60s or 70s, late 60s or something.
She had a lasting contribution.
It was only about 8 years after the Wolfman came out. But she's just fantastic. I mean, I just love. She does the repeating lines too, but every time she has a scene with someone, there's some weight to it. Like she has presence. Unlike the lady in the remake, again, just no presence to me. This woman really stood out to me in the original film, and she's probably my favorite thing about it. Whenever she's on screen, I'm like kind of glued to it.
Yeah, that's one of the things about. She died in 49 and 73. One of the things about the things that happen in the remake that happen for the most part, that happen in the original movie kind of blasé, like some of the characters and everything. There was the one key thing for me in the remake was when they got left Moors. What is it called? Black Moors or whatever. When they left that area and they were torturing Larry and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, you got a great setup with the character development. You find out everything you need to know about Larry in that opening scene with his father and why he's there, and all that stuff, and the whole telescope thing, and then you get to see how a smooth operator actually works. I mean, she she went off on her own with him, and she's an engaged woman. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
That's how charming he was.
Yeah, she
And
left her friend to die.
And I like this. Like I agree with Seth. I think remake should go its own path, and I like that the father and son end up fighting, and it's the werewolf thing. But there was also
cool.
that part where, you know, of course, Claude Rains is another powerhouse and another guy that's magnetic.
Yeah.
And the dynamic of him having to murder his son, or you know, the heartbreak of the tragedy of the original movie is, I think, just a little weightier in that.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. Also, his dad wasn't a werewolf, and he didn't have this deep, dark secret like they did in the 2010 movies. So, you know, his dad really cared about him. His dad didn't seem like he cared all that much about him. He just didn't want the secret getting out, really. But he did let him get caught anyway in the 2010 movie.
Well, in the original, his mom must have been a giant woman.
Why? Because
Claude's short.
Because Claude's like
Yeah.
this.
I married your mom because she was a tree I could climb. She was 6'10".
And that's why you are 6'2" now, son.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
like
I'm
immediately, Lon Chaney Jr. is so likable.
Yeah.
And has personality, and you just like him. And like I said, it's smooth, but there's also a naive, or there's just something innocent about
boy.
him.
Yeah, because he's a city boy. You know, he's
yeah.
And
he was kind of playing Lenny again, I guess, from Mice and Men in some way, but a little more intelligent. But there's this charm to Lon Chaney in the movie that I think I love Benicio del Toro to death, and I thought he did a good job. But there's just too much darkness, I think, to him. And just from the moment we meet him, he's a you know, arrogant actor. You know, oh, whatever, my brother's dead. Okay, have a safe trip back to England. And it's a totally different vibe where, you know, I mean, he does have his save the cat moment where he's saving the little boy and saving the woman at the massacre in the beginning to make you like him a little more. But I think that's the element. Like, Lon Chaney is almost immediately lovable as Lawrence in the original.
Yeah. And I kind of alluded to that earlier. Like, there's just something missing with the charisma between him and his relationship with Gwen, and like everything it just about it would seem. I mean, obviously, this was back in the 40s. They always try to make things a little bit more lighter and things like that. But I mean,
there was that puppy love kind of element to, like, he liked her when he was younger, I guess, and they rekindled fire. Whereas others, it's my sister-in-law. Who's mourning a death, so it's just all around darker, which is not a bad thing. But
no, not at all.
That's the thing. I think the charm of the original film is there evidently, and then I don't know. There's so many cool things. Like, I was talking to Kim, my producer, today about just the stylistic way they lit the forest with the fog and the trees and the lighting and the Wolfman. It's something we want to look at for some things we got left to shoot. So I want to try to capture that for our wooded, foggy.
The remake had a lot of great long shots. I don't know if you noticed some of the long shots, like when they rode in on Talbot Manor, and you know, he's standing in frame, and you get the horses and everything like that. And then whenever he wakes up and you see the field behind him, they're running. You know, there's a lot of great long shots that really helped that movie, in my opinion. Seth, go ahead.
One last thing. I'm not a big fan of that filmmaker that made the remake.
Who was it?
It's Joe Johnson. Right?
Joe Johnson.
But I do like this one. I will say it's probably one of his better films, if not his best.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
What do you think, Seth, about the depiction of Larry Talbot in between the two movies?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I like about both of the movies, is that they are different from each other in how they handle the tragedy of Lawrence Talbot. So in the original 41 movie, we see him kind of just living his normal life. We see him happy. We see him reconnect with his father, and you know, you get their bond. You see him try to steal another man's woman away. And
that's just a running
he's
thing.
just, and he's just very charming as he does it. There's, the original Wolfman. The original Wolfman is very simplistic in its narrative, and the remake is very complex, and that's kind of the distinction I like about them. In the original is here's a guy who he's a good guy. He has his whole life ahead of him, and something bad happens to him. And the other part of the tragedy is his father, who lost his oldest son, and now his youngest son is a werewolf that he has to kill. Right? There's the two tragedies in the original Wolfman. In the remake, it's like you guys said, it's very dark and gloomy, and it's almost like from the first time we see Lawrence, he's from, and it all goes to that they made to make it so that the primary antagonistic werewolf is Talbot, and to make him colder, and not to mention that, but to also expand upon that line from the original about the brothers. So like in the original, it's kind of like casually mentioned in the beginning about Larry coming home after his brother's hunt accident, and he's never really mentioned again after that. Not at any of the sequels. And what they did in the remake was they used that as the catalyst, which I really like that. So Larry comes home, but Larry's also very reluctant to come home because his father is so cold, and he has this very complex backstory involving his father and his mother's death. And I forgot where I was going with this.
Did they ever explain why he left home in the original? In the first place? Why he's been gone 18 years?
No, I think it was just just one of those things, kid grows up, gets old, moves away. He said he went to California, and that's where he's been for the last 18 years or whatever. I think that's all they mentioned.
Yeah. Well, how old was Lon Chaney when he did that?
What's that?
How old do you think Lawrence is supposed to be in the original film?
30.
I would say in his 30s.
I mean, if he's been gone for 18 years or so, he'd have to be in his mid to late 30s, right?
Yeah, I'm just wondering when he left. I mean, he left as a teenager or a preteen, or.
No, I mean, Lon Chaney was 35, 36 anyway. Whenever the Wolfman was released, so probably I'd say around there.
One of the things I like. I think what makes the Wolfman, the original, important is it's being a metaphor for Nazi Germany, and because the screenwriter was Jewish, and he had escaped Nazi Germany, and he was kind of talking like the Wolfman was like people say that all the time. Like, we just assume all Nazis were evil bastards, but they were all normal people, like even good people. But if you became a Nazi soldier, you became a monster. The things that you would commit with that uniform and under that rule and under that commitment, under that brainwashing, whatever it was, like a werewolf, you became a man whose heart is pure, could become a monster. And that's what the writer was writing into that subtext of the werewolf represents the Germans that he was fleeing from when he got away from Germany. And you could go that with anything. Like we even talk about today when we see the behavior of good people under different circumstances or influences, or how good people can turn violent and vicious and savage like that, just like a wolfman can. Like this you could be the most innocent, sweet, loving person and just be a complete fucking monster, like psychopath.
Yeah. Like
that. And I think that's the interesting thing about the werewolf. It plays into Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and all that, those two sides of the spectrum of that is there a beast, or was it Lord of the Rings? Is there a beast, or is it just us? Like, which I quoted my new movie because there's a lot of is it man, is it beast kind of thing. But I don't know. That's one of the most interesting things about the Wolfman, because like Dracula doesn't have that kind of thing going on. I mean, I think Coppola kind of brought a little bit in that in his movie, but the whole why Count Dracula became what he became, but like the Wolfman is this. Some of the most interesting characters are like that. Like we've talked about Spider-Man. Like I always loved like the Lizard because it's kind of that type of character of a good man who becomes a monster out of control. But like comic books got that in spades of someone trying to do good and becomes a monster because of the good that they try to do or what they think is right. Whereas of course Wolfman, he's bitten, but he's bitten in a heroic thing. He was trying to save someone or fight someone, and doing a selfless act, and becomes. That's what's tragic about it. Out of his selfless act, he becomes the damned, the cursed, and someone who's destined to either end his own life or continue to hurt people. And that's what's really interesting about the Wolfman and the werewolf mythos. It's always attracted. I've always been more of a werewolf guy than a vampire fan.
Yeah. I remember when we tried to do a vampire show, everybody else liked the werewolves more than vampires. I guess they are more interesting. There are so many different types of werewolf stories, like the tortured werewolf, kind of like the cursed werewolf. Was just kind of like what we got going on here. You know, it's thrust upon him. You know,
you're dealing with an immortal dead thing versus a living human being who's cursed and tortured and struggling with that. I mean, you can have that with a vampire, where a vampire doesn't want to kill people to survive, which it has to. You know, it needs to kill to survive. Whereas a werewolf doesn't have to kill to survive; it just does. It's just rage,
uncontrollable rage
or instinct. It's just instinct. I guess I don't know.
Like that Metallica song of Wolfman Man.
Yeah.
That's a good song, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's probably my favorite song now I think about it. Is that your favorite song of all time? Because it's werewolf stuff. Nose to the wind.
And man!
Bark at the moon, baby. Bark at the moon.
Yeah, that's a good one, too. Yeah.
Bark at the moon.
Yeah.
Werewolf national anthem, moon dance. There's all kinds of them, Seth. I bet you're not married, are you? Not yet? No. His first dance will be a mixture of moon dance, bark at the moon, wolf and man.
I've been married once. I'm not doing it again. So.
Oh, that's too bad. I was hoping that you'd come down here and live with me, buddy.
He's taking a Kurt Russell page. I'm just gonna live with Goldie.
Yeah, me too.
I'm having to get the milk for free. Am I right?
It's part of that Carpenter connection. That's why I like John Carpenter. He's modeling himself after Kurt Russell.
Werewolves are loners. Yeah, I mean, he's got. I mean, whew. So one of the things I want to go into, they did change a lot of stuff with the 2010 movie, but I kept kind of alluding to it when they get him back to London or whatever it is. Is it London? Is that I can't remember for some reason.
Yeah, it's London.
Yeah, but they take him to the hospital and they start like dipping him in that fucking ice bath and torturing him and shit. That was new, and that was really fucking cool, in my opinion. That they're trying to bring. Yeah, I thought that was so cool. And then the scene where he is running across the rooftops of London, that was awesome. And barking at the moon, of course. Let's not forget about that.
Bringing a little bit of Dracula.
It was a great shot too.
With Renfield, a little bit of Dracula in there with Renfield and the insane asylum and the primitive way of treating mental illness or whatever's going on. Yeah, I will kill you, all of you. Let's just hear what he said.
Yeah,
I think that was.
You go, Seth.
Go for it. It's not going to be what I say.
Jared was just gnashing his teeth for the paparazzi. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I think with that scene in particular, I think that's what they were trying to go with the original director attached to the remake. I think he wanted to do something that was really leaning heavy into the psychology of it, of the character, and I think that carries over from that. This is before Joe Johnston came in very late into the game.
Who was the original director?
Mark Romanek, the director of 1 Hour Photo.
Wow. Oh, I love.
Yeah.
I like his work.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I have some info on the behind the scenes of it, but we can get into that whenever you guys are.
Let's go for it.
But yeah, okay. Well, so the remake was. It really started off as a passion project for several people, really with Benicio del Toro and his manager, Rick Yorn. They were both huge fans of the classic Universal films and especially of the Wolfman. And apparently Benicio actually collects a lot of memorabilia of the old films. And they came up with the idea of pitching a remake of the Wolfman. So they went to Universal back in like 2006, and they suggested doing a Wolfman remake that was faithful as possible. They wanted the story to remain as close as possible, and they wanted the makeup effects to be as close as possible. Universal agreed. And they hired Andrew Kevin Walker to do the screenplay. They hired Mark Romanek to direct.
Damn.
And then
for those who don't
Rick
know,
Baker.
For those who don't know, that's the writer of 7 and 8mm and Sleepy Hollow.
Right. Right.
Shit.
Yep. And then when Rick Baker heard about the movie, he actively tried to get involved with it. So he went to the studio and said, I have to do that movie. So this started as a passion for many people. Of course, as things go, studio executives and the creatives don't necessarily see eye to eye. Romanek wanted to do something, I think from his comment, he wanted to do something a little bit more psychological, something a little bit more serious, and the studio wanted, just a monster movie. They wanted something more fun and popcorn, and then there was another issue. I think the reason why Romanek left was over the shooting. So the studio wanted it to be shot in like 80 days. Romanek believed that he would need 100 days. Just because of that clash, he walked, and they were gearing towards production at this point. They already did the costumes, the sets, they hired the actors, stuff like that.
All the pre-production stuff, yeah.
So they were still going with their scheduled start date, and they brought in a bunch of different directors for possible replacements, including apparently James Mangold was considered. Mm-hmm. Frank Darabont was considered.
Damn, they had some great choices. They ended up with Joe Johnston.
Yeah. Yep. But they went with Joe Johnston because I believe one, he's familiar with effects. That's how he started off his career.
Yeah.
And two, he was confident that he could do the 80-day shoot.
Okay.
And so that's why the studio. So Joe Johnston came in 3 weeks before the start date.
Jesus.
And when he came in, they wanted to do a rewrite of script, but there was a writer's strike that was happening around the same time, so they delayed the movie. And then Johnson brought in a screenwriter named David Self to rewrite Andrew Kevin Walker's script. And so,
did he write The Haunting, the one from '99, that really ruined The Haunting movie? Did you ever see that, The Haunting? I think that sounds like the guy that wrote The Haunting. Let me look it up.
Who was the name? What was the name?
David Self. Is that right?
David Self. Yep.
I don't remember. Yeah, I saw that in theaters.
Yeah, I did too. I was so disappointed. yeah, it is him. Yeah. So he wrote one of the most disappointing remakes of all time, and then he gets hired to do another good. That's good for him, I guess.
So, right. So he was hired and he rewrote Andrew Kevin Walker's script. So I'm very curious about what the original vision was supposed to be for the Wolfman.
Right.
Yeah, I want to see that script.
I'm guessing you haven't found it yet.
Honestly, I haven't even looked.
That sounds like an article. Yep.
Get on it.
Get on it. Yeah, I'm curious too.
Yeah. So So when fuck man, Joe Johnson yes. There were certain things that he had to keep, and he was happy about some of the choices that Romanek made as far as set designer and costume stuff like that, and the cast and all that. He was good with all that. But
he's like, I already got Rick Baker. I'm in the fucking gold zone.
Joe Johnson was the son.
Yeah.
Wasn't
Rick Baker really disappointed about this much? Even though there's not a lot, the use of CG. Didn't he? He was completely pissed off about that.
Yeah, well, and it's not the first time that he's been fucked over, right? Because it happened on Cursed as well. But with the Wolfman,
not too far before this either, if you think about it.
Right. Well, exactly. Just to what?
That's pretty fresh.
Yeah, but because he, like I said before, this was a passion project even for him, and he wanted to really transformation, and he's like, this is going to be much easier than American Werewolf in London's transformation because he says pretty much, Benicio was already a hairy man, so whatever. But Joe Johnson gives the excuse that because he came into the game so late, he made a decision to do the transformation post-production because he didn't have time. He didn't have time to prep for it, to all that stuff. So he felt like he needed to just not do it on camera. So that's unfortunate too. I mean, you fucking hire Rick Baker to do your werewolf effects.
Right. Hey, exactly, man. Let the guy do his thing, It's it's like the thing I thought about. Yeah. They invented the damn award for him. Yeah, it's like
right.
But one thing I noticed about, and I'm sure it was brought up, that how much Benicio, I guess with the hair doing everything, looks like Oliver Reed. Does anybody notice that?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. Who?
Oliver Reed.
Oh,
Curse of Werewolf.
Yeah.
Like he does the hair. He just reminds me of Oliver Reed in this movie.
I thought that I saw somewhere that the original inspiration was Werewolf of London and The Curse of the Werewolf. Am I wrong in thinking that? I think that was like the original, like they were going to do a remake of the Wolfman, but at the same time they were bringing stuff from those movies over as inspiration.
Yep. Yeah. That's absolutely correct too. And even with the way the Wolfman looked, I think with his shredded shirt, stuff like that, I think that was also from Curse of the Werewolf.
Yeah, I mean, that's the makeup. Now, the makeup design. Was he supposed to look the way, or was there a different design? Because I also think I heard somewhere along the lines that he was supposed to look different, but because he does look like a curse. I'm sorry, I fucked up my words, and now I feel stupid. Anyway, he looks like a mix between the Curse of the Werewolf, the Wolfman, and even Werewolf from London, all in one. And he's big and bulky, more so like the Curse of the Werewolf.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, he had. They had several different designs to choose from. And I think the one
I like the design overall, really.
I love the way it looks.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, they primarily wanted to stick with Jack Pierce's design from the original Wolfman, but they also wanted to bring in elements from the other stuff. I mean, the movie does have nods to, Werewolf of London, the Curse of the Werewolf, even American Werewolf in London, with the chaos scene in London.
Yeah.
After he escapes the asylum, that was inspired by that as well.
It's too bad he didn't get shot in a bell tower. No. I'm going to see if I can pull up images of all of these put together, because I swear he's like an amalgamation of all these characters. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so what do we know about the new film they're going to make other than Ryan Gosling's star?
that thing sounds like it's been in production for like 1,000 years now.
Well, COVID and everything.
Well, no, was it? I thought it was even longer than that. Like,
I'm saying that could have probably put it on hold.
Oh, I'm sure. Here we go.
Yeah.
No, well, Ryan Gosling just pitched it, I think, last year, and then Universal has been negotiating with Lee Whannell to write and direct it.
Oh, good.
Because
he's busy though right now because he's remaking Escape from New York too.
Remind me who this guy is. I don't.
The guy that Saw James Wan.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
He
directed the.
He did the Invisible Man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I wasn't recognizing the name, but yeah, no, yeah, I'm used to seeing it written, not said.
Right.
Yeah. I always want to pronounce it Whannell, but
yeah,
I
I want
exactly how to pronounce
or something. Yeah. But that, Invisible Man was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm like Ryan Gosling's one of my favorite actors, and the guy makes really good choices. He hasn't done a bad movie in 20 years. And there's part of like when in Drive, the first thing I thought about in Drive, there's a scene where driver kills a guy in an elevator, and he turns around and looks at Carey Mulligan, and they said, in the making, that this is a scene where he turns into a werewolf. Like, she sees a transformation to the monster that he really is. Because the whole movie,
it's not the same after that. Yeah.
Yeah. When you see, like, she sees who he really is in that scene, because he's a guy who has a violent past that he's kept hidden. And in this scene, the werewolf of him comes out, and they said that's how they filmed it and thought of it. Is just the monster, the beast, is released in the scene. And so I think Gosling will be fantastic.
I'm curious though if they're going to do more of a remake of the Wolfman from the 1941 movie, or if they're going to try to do something more original like they kind of did. I mean, they took the concept of the Invisible Man and they kind of turned it on its head, more modern. Is that something that they're going to do with this one?
I think they should.
Yeah. So would you set it in modern times?
It worked for the Invisible Man.
I would. It needs to be different. It needs to be different than both versions before it.
Yeah. Set in modern times would be interesting, I think.
Gothic horror just does not sell now. It's a shame, but it just doesn't.
You're right.
Like Del Toro's Crimson Peak was one of the most beautiful films I've seen that no one fucking cared and no one saw it.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It was a beautiful movie.
Hold on. Didn't Benicio del Toro produce this also? Didn't he have his hands in this? The Wolfman?
No, you're thinking of...
I didn't look
Guillermo del Toro, so I'm thinking of. Never mind. Wrong fucking guy. God damn it. I need to go to sleep.
You're thinking of Guillermo.
Or
you guys enjoy the rest of the show. I'm out of
here. or set it in 50s, 60s, something like that, or 40s, or like with the fedoras. And I mean, because the original, it's got that balance of old world, old country versus, there's cars, there's fedoras, there's. So
it takes place. It seems like it would take place in the 40s. Yeah.
Yeah, it has this kind of Streets of Fire, kind of otherworldly, other place, other time, fable, fairy tale vibe about it. Even I mean, that's one of the cool things about American Werewolf in London. Like, one of my favorite parts of that movie is just when they're on the moors or whatever, and they go to slaughtered land. That whole old world meets two, city boys from America.
Yeah.
Kind of dynamic. The guys in the bar drinking their ale and partying and singing their old songs, and they all got this, this folklore that they have. But yeah, I don't know.
I think setting it now would be cool too, though. Or not now, but like in the present time. You don't see too many werewolf movies that are good that take place now.
If they said it nowadays, it seems like it wouldn't take very much time for authorities and things to jump on to the beast. I think that's what makes it easier to set it to a time way back when, because at the end of the day, it's still just a animal crime scene. But I don't know, if you place it today, I don't know.
All right, Seth.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
I was going to throw you something. Go ahead. I was going to throw you a question.
What were you saying? Okay.
You're our Wolfman fanatic, and you're a writer.
Aficionado.
You're handed the Wolfman. What do you do? What would you do with it?
I would actually I would reverse it. So Lawrence Talbot would still become the Wolfman, but what I would do is I would focus on John Talbot. I would focus on the father and the tragedy of the fact that he has to come to terms with his last remaining child and member of family is a werewolf, and that other people may be out to kill him. But I would focus on John Talbot, and I would keep Lawrence as the werewolf, and he would be the villain, of course, when he's a wolf, and he's out, killing, doing whatever.
Wolfman.
Lawrence has a presence as the werewolf, but the emotional core would be to follow Sir John.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I do. I could see, like you said, the whole fact that he's lost his wife, he's lost his son, he's got one family member left, and maybe it's like his desperate plea to beg his son to come there, and then the tragedy of his son comes there out of his need for family, need for that connection, and then this happens, and then he's got to deal with that.
Yeah.
I have to murder the only thing I have left.
Yep.
And do I do it? Yeah, I think that would be a brilliant direction. I would write it up.
So who's playing John?
Who's playing
Hugh
John
Jackman.
Talbot?
Hugh Jackman. So who's
He
playing
can do it.
Lawrence
I think-
at that point?
I mean, if you haven't Gosling play Lawrence,
I mean, you take a Hugh Jackman performance from like Logan, and you put it in a Wolfman movie. Where
And
he's
then Les Mis too. Fantastic in that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Hugh's completely underrated. He really is. Like, everybody knows him as Wolverine, but that guy.
that's why he's underrated, because he's in comic book movies. Come on.
Yeah, because that guy is as powerful as any actor working today, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And he can do it all. He can do anything you throw at him, he can do it.
Yep. I've thought about this stuff.
He's in one of my favorite Darren Aronofsky films,
Yeah.
The Fountain.
Seth, I feel like you think about this every day.
I do. I'm always like, if I was to get this assignment, this is what I would do.
Honestly, dude, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't have to be a feature film. Write a fan film about John Talbot. You don't need all the effects. You don't even need a werewolf. You could just have a scene with that whole situation, him dealing with it. I would watch that fan film.
You could film in my backyard.
It'd be strong.
I have a shed.
Yeah, I think I should do that.
Yeah.
Or
those are the kind of things I want to see in fan films. I want to see something that matters. I don't want to see the same shit I've seen. I don't want to see recreations of Jason hacking teenagers, and I want to see something that's like I didn't see that perspective. Like one of my favorite, a friend of mine pitched one time. She wanted to do.
Wait. You mean like Freddy being interrogated? You want
to? Yeah, I want to do something like that. Now I want to see like, like somebody had an idea of like just a short film. They were gonna put out casting call. They weren't going to. I shouldn't tell it because she may do it. I don't know. It's been years, but it was like there was something from a comic book that we all know, and it was just about the emotional conflict of these three men who were a family, and this tragedy that happened, and how that unfolds, just in a dramatic way, not in a comic book way, not in a fight. It just the weight of relationships between these three men when one of them dies and one of them brings the other one home.
Tell us
to the other one.
What it is.
And I was like, I want to fucking see that. And she wasn't going to like get like, hey, we're making this type of movie. It was just going to say, this is a drama that we're making, but it was going to be these famous characters.
Didn't we have this conversation with Vince DeSanti at one time? And he talked about making a Pamela Voorhees movie. That's before that's more about her struggles and everything as a mother who lost a child and all that. Because that's something I'd like to see. I have without having any idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what we're talking about.
It's kind of like it's one of the things that made like Batman Year One so strong was we saw James Gordon's story.
Yeah,
and what was going on with him. Like that's one of the best Batman stories. It's my favorite, and just because that's what I see in that way is you're taking this character that's a supporting character normally, and you're saying, I want to know about who this guy is and what he's going through. And that's what I think is an opportunity in fan films to do is like take those characters that we saw in these movies who weren't like, you're making a Dream Wars movie. Let's tell a story about Max. What was Max dealing with? What all these type of things like that. There's interesting characters in these films that just don't get explored because they're there to support the lead. And Seth's taking, like I said, even in the remake, John was more interested in me than everybody in the movie, and I wish I had had a movie with him as opposed to that. But even more so with this situation because I like that feeling of that he has this one last piece of his heart to hold on to, in that decision you have to make. That Sophie's choice that you have to make of is it my heart completely, my life, my purpose, everything. Or the world, the rest of the world. Who do I save and who do I protect? And it's fucking great. I want to see you write it. Copyright.
I'll have to do that.
Nobody cop that shit. His idea. We're gonna see a campaign tomorrow. I'm making my Wolfman movie. Give me $20,000.
Oh no, he needs 25 easy for this one.
We're professionals.
If he's going to get me to do a voiceover for the trailer, he's going to need 25. In a world where Seth writes a movie about a werewolf. I like your idea for sure. I think that's really interesting. And Nate, we know you like seeing that stuff. You made your own movie like that.
Well, I wanted to see that story, and no one was making it. It was never going to make it, so
exactly.
That's why I wrote it.
Well, I mean, there's no other interesting like some of the fan films that we see. I don't want to get too far into that. They do follow Jason or Michael Myers or whoever. I mean, but who's the more interesting character in those stories? Dr. Loomis. Never mind.
Yeah, well, I want to see it. I want a story about Loomis. That's what I want.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, there's probably I wonder how many werewolf fan films there are, Wolfman fan films there are, if any.
I doubt there's hardly any.
Yeah. And I know from seeing other. What is that noise? Who's banging dishes? Is that you, Seth?
Because the whole fan film thing is like maybe a 30-year-old thing. Like, I mean, there was hardware wars and all that in '78 and things like that. But like, I think most of what I see is a lot of slasher stuff or 70s, 80s
and zombies. It's because it's easy. Yeah, I was gonna say even indie films. You don't see many werewolf movies. There's like Bone Hill Road, I think is one of them, and that you barely saw the wolf.
It's just they're difficult to pull off because you got to have the suit, you have all the stuff, and it's like.
How do you know that? How do you know? How do you know that?
I don't know. It's just a lot easier to buy a fucking mask and a fake knife. And
You know what, Seth?
movie.
I want to be the werewolf in your movie, but can I wear a rubber mask where if there's no fur on it, it's just a rubber? I'm tired, guys. We're
going to go. The effects are going to be inspired by the Howling 3.
But I don't even, like I said, I don't even think we need to see a werewolf at all because it's about him. It's his story and what he's dealing with. You can just have the fucking howling and him in the background.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. You probably don't even. It could be a short, really. I mean, it could be a really short movie about the torture going on within his mind and his heart, like you were saying, Nate. It could be just him in a room or
could just be him in a room, talk, have a confession, or talk about what he has to do. That moment where he has to make that choice, and it's like Shakespearean. It's like Hamlet, you know. Yeah,
I think that could be really cool. Almost like The Raven.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that the dishes were Jared's house. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean. That's just all I heard were dishes for a minute. Anyway, who's loading the dishwasher? So, Seth, you got 2 assignments now. Find the original Wolfman script for the 2010 movie and write an article about it and make your own fan film. Seriously, it could be a short in the way that you describe it and the way Nathan's talking about it. Could be pretty cool.
You could build one room, a set. Build the set. It's one actor. You light it right. You won't even have to change the lighting because it's a monologue piece in some ways. It's like a stage moment, like a play. And it would be, you could shoot that in a weekend.
Yeah.
With the right crew and right everything. I mean, it could be done.
I think 2 locations would be good though, because then you could also have one looking out in the moors or whatever, on the woods, and you have areas like that where you live. You just get a little smoke machine, maybe a disco ball, and then have a dance party afterwards. It could be cool. I mean, there's I don't want to tell you what to do. I mean, I don't write or anything. Neither do you. Neither does Jared.
I've been considering writing this for a while.
Go for it.
Actually, what got me actually thinking about even my approach to it was The Invisible Man, the Lee Winnell movie. Just the idea of, oh shit, the Invisible Man's the villain again, and you don't, you see him, but it's focused on it's focused on one character while he's in the background or he's wherever, you know what I mean? And I was like, I would like to, because what I want to see, I don't want to see this dark universe shit where they're taking these old classic monsters and they're making fun PG-13 action movies. I don't want to see that. I want to see these characters.
You mean The Mummy? Come on, just say it.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is I like The Mummy from '99, but I want to see these villains. Yeah, I see these villains as villains again, and not anti-heroes. I don't want to so much sympathize with that. I mean, Larry is going to be always sympathetic, right? Because he's cursed, he's doomed, he's a tragic figure. But they kind of overdo it these days. They make everyone super sympathetic and boo-hoo, pity them, fuck you. So that was where I came up. That's kind of how I had this idea. I was like, I would really like to see a Wolfman movie where we almost reverse it, but Larry's still the Wolfman, but we focus on his father and the struggle that he would have to go through. That was my.
It's called The Wolfman. The struggle is real.
Mm-hmm.
It was gonna be the Wolf Dash Man.
Oh,
my son, my son, the Wolfman.
My son.
My son is a killer.
And you know what? I don't think it would cost too much to get Tommy Atkins to play John Talbot. Right?
Tony Atkins.
We need to get Tommy Atkins on there. I mean, he was in a crappy.
You see Tom Atkins doing that. My son, he's a goddamn werewolf, and
I don't know what to do. Give me a Miller Lite.
And I'll open the door and be like, "Ooh, Dr. Chalice."
Yo, I saw him. I thought he had a Halloween mask on.
Oh man, we should get
Turns out it's for real.
It's got that accent. He sleeps with Jamie Lee Curtis at some point.
Are you weird?
Let me ask you a question. What's your name?
You know what's messed up? Because I didn't realize that yesterday was the fog day. And we could have done a show on the fog.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I totally forgot. And I'm like, why is everybody watching the fog? And I'm like, oh shit. It's the anniversary.
Oh.
That's
nerds.
We'll save that for 2023. Man, nerds. Your boy Rocky Gray was watching it. He's a nerd though. And it's okay to be a nerd.
It's okay to be a nerd. I'm a nerd.
Nerds. Unless Ogre says it.
I don't know if I watch any movies set on a date though.
Oh.
Halloween, about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, dude, I watch Halloween every year on Halloween. So anyway, what else do we want to say before we're getting closer to the end of the show? So let's get back into the movie about some of the things we liked, didn't like. What else is there?
Ralph Bellamy.
Ralph Bellamy's great. You know what's funny about that is
Donna Meach. You remember from Trading Places?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, from Trading Places. Yeah, and I didn't notice it was him until and I don't pay attention to credits. Okay, I think we established that last year when I didn't know somebody was in something. But yeah, I saw him. I was like, that guy looks familiar, and it showed his name. I'm like, holy shit! Is that Mortimer?
It's Mortimer. Mortimer, we're back in business.
Randolph.
Don Amici somewhere in there. He's probably a grave digger.
Yeah. Actually, he was he was Lon Chaney's stunt double for the long shot for Wolfman. That's Don Amici. Yeah, I didn't realize that was him. They had a really good cast in the original movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, The Invisible Man.
Claude Rains.
Claude Rains is great.
He's like, I gotta play just a supporting character. Fucking Claude Rains.
Yeah, and I got a giant telescope upstairs in my house.
Giant fucking telescope, so I can look at young women in their shop window.
This fucking Lawrence.
That's how Larry saw it, because his dad already had the fucking camera.
Yeah, no, he had to move it, but he looks at it for a second and goes, huh? And right to the girl. It's like, what are you doing?
Perfect timing.
Where are those earrings? The star ones. I saw him. Maybe they're in your bedroom. It's like, first of all, if that happened in 2021, she would have called the cops. This guy is watching me. He's stalking me. He said he was
psychic and shit. Been peeping Tom.
This is bullshit. He's watching me from
afar. It's magic.
Yeah, it's magic. Yeah.
I even think about. I forgot to mention, like I talked about the Nazi Germany thing. You know, of course, the pentagram is kind of representative of the Star of David, and the mark of So I mean, that's another little detail about that first movie.
Yeah, if you wear that mark, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah, that's one of the things that that didn't carry over to the remake, did it? The pentagram.
I don't have it at all. It wasn't even on the cane from what I saw.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like this the remake has amazing cast too. I mean, like I just adore Emily Blunt, but I wanted more from her. And Hugo Weaving's always great.
You know, we did get one thing out of Emily Blunt that we'd never seen before, and her skipping rocks. So,
even Emily Blunt can skip rocks.
So tell the people who watch this and who are watching now why this is the 2010 movie, because we've been kind of backhanding it a little bit, me and Nate mostly, but
no, we didn't.
Hey, it's no silver bullet, right?
No, it's a whole lot better. So, no. I love Silver Bullet a lot more, but because I like the story of Silver Bullet, but this is better made, better acted. I mean, if this movie had Gary Busey, it might
Okay,
Comes
new
down to
fan film
personal
idea.
opinions.
I want Gary Busey.
Seth,
in there.
you
Where's this
write,
goddamn Kane? Where's this goddamn Kane?
you write your werewolf movie or Wolfman movie, and I'm gonna rewrite. I'm gonna write my own Silver Bullet fan film. I'm gonna play Marty though. This is gonna be about me not being able to feel my legs.
I want to be the dad,
my
like the
Lord.
dad who lost his son and overacts all the time.
And Jared could be Janie.
This is what happened to us after the summer of '74 or whatever year it was. I love that movie. I can't believe you ruined it for me. No.
No, I do. I still love it. It was a big influence on this movie I made. So go with it. I mean, I can't. It's a cheesy, silly, poorly made movie at times, but it's Stephen King and it's a good story.
Poorly lit. Yeah, but every time I was looking at my collection the other day because I had some additions that I needed to add into the collection, and I put something. I can't remember what it was. By the werewolf movies. Oh, it was I put Wolfman, my Blu-ray from Wolfman from that WB collection thing. I had to put it in place of the old DVD, and I saw Silver Bullet, and you know what happened? Tear.
It's like threw trash. Nathan threw trash in front of me. Threw his.
Yep, and the camera zoomed in right on my face, and there was a tear.
There was filmmaking bullshit on my fucking feet.
Right, I'll love that movie no matter what.
I love it. I do. I love it to death. I was just being honest, and I think you have to be honest. You know, like there are movies that we all grew up with that we just love unconditionally, and no one can tell us different. No one will ever change it. But you can recognize, like, oh man, it's fucking terrible. But like,
I still love the fuck out of it. Yes.
You know, it's like Jared didn't like Night of the Comet, right? It was like I fucking love that movie. It's not good. I mean, it's not a good movie. I watched it 1,000 times as a kid, and Silver Bullet was one of those ones I watched over and over and over. And it has enough. It's amidst its flaws from behind the camera. It has some amazing stuff. He got, you know, Terry O'Quinn and Gary Busey and Corey Haim's great in it. The sister's good in it. Like sometimes they just.
Okay,
all it needed was a few key people in different positions, and it would have been.
Everett McGill was
film.
amazing.
He was
right?
great. Yeah.
Okay.
Look, like there's only a few actors in it. Like
they just needed a better director of photography. It sounds like
they need a better director of photography, and like some of the actors are really cheesing it up. And then there's some kind of falseness to it. There's like tease to it.
Well, it is out of Janie's memory too, right? It's like maybe this is playing off in her mind in the insane asylum because she's a
shitty filmmaker.
She got taken away along with her brother because they fucking shot a man in the eye and he's naked in their living room.
She's painting the picture for us.
That's the movie that needs to be made is the aftermath of Silver Bullet. Like, what do the cops do when they come and see the Reverend and naked in their living room with a bullet in his eye? You know,
like, where do we go from here?
They get the Vatican to close this shit up.
All right, so we're running out of time. I'm going to ask a question for everybody. I want you to all to answer it, even the people who are watching at home, even though we're at home also. Where does the 1941 Wolfman rank among werewolf movies to you? And then we'll start with Jared.
Nice. Okay. So it is number one, obviously.
Really? Out of all the other werewolf movies?
I mean, I have a top 5 that's ever changing, and the newest one I saw is the one that Nate knows is that Snow Creek one, Wolf at Snow Creek or something like that.
Snow Hollow.
Snow Hollow. Yeah. That one is very fun.
It is.
Dog Soldiers is really up there in my list too. Like, I rewatched them both back to back, and the original one still. I mean, it's the OG. That might be basic answer, but yeah, it's still number one.
Would the remake make your top 10, top 20
of werewolf movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, because there's not nearly as many werewolf movies as there are other genres of.
Seth found a way to make a top 25. I'm just saying.
I mean,
People
American
love
Werewolf in
that.
London is still like, it's very close to number 2, but I mean, I don't know. I'll let you guys answer that. Like,
Yeah. Nate, I'm curious about you. You're Mr. List. I thought I was a list maker. I thought Seth was a list maker. Then I met Nate, who's going through every single year ever to pick his top, 10 songs from each year. My goodness. Anyway, what about you? Where's the original rank, and could the 2010 pop into your top 10, top 20?
The original is in my top 5.
Okay.
I could put the remake in the top 10, maybe. Like I said earlier in the very beginning.
This is the list you're going to make later. I know it. I'm calling it now.
There's just
you're going to make this list. It's going to be on your Facebook page. You're like, damn it, Ray was right. I'm going to have to do this.
There's just not a lot of good werewolf movies.
Make the list.
I would say that this werewolf, the werewolf in the remake, is in my top 5 werewolves of all time.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's how I was watching it today. Like, that's a fucking werewolf.
Yeah,
that's a werewolf, man.
I agree with that. Yeah,
that's what I want to see. None of this like, oh, it's a wolf. It's a big time. Like, I love American Werewolf in London, but to me, like, that's a werewolf. He's still got his shit on. He's got his clothes on. He's running around. But he's running around because he's just the best of both worlds because he's on both his 2 legs and then he runs on 4 legs. He's like, he's got the both of the human and the animal part of it, which a lot of werewolf movies forget to have that combination. Like the American Werewolf in London is just a giant fucking quiche hound, which I love, but it's not a werewolf.
I'd like to
see that werewolf go one-on-one with the werewolf from Late Phases.
Oh, I hate those. But I think he's in my top 5 werewolves. It's even with the Monster Squad werewolf who does it, is still amazing as well.
We haven't done a full just wolfing out werewolf episode, have we? We've talked about.
You like to punish Seth for some reason.
We talked about doing it.
Hey, this episode was for Seth. I respect him,
this is a Seth-episode.
Seth-episode.
I like that.
I like that too. We'll have to do that.
That's going to be his new podcast. The Seth
that should be your YouTube channel name, Seth-episodes. Yeah.
I like it.
So I like the. I never thought about ranking the individual werewolf itself because there are some really badass looking. Because I love the Quist werewolf till the end of days. Because that's one of my favorites because he's got the best of both worlds. Because when I think werewolf, I think of like a erect, not werewolf, like a wolf, a fucking man who is a wolf. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think of like being very disappointed and thinking about seeing the werewolf at the end of an American Werewolf in London after I've grown up with the Wolfman, Curse of the Werewolf, Silver Bullet. And the Howling, because I saw the American Werewolf in London later than those, and they were all erect.
The Silver Bullet werewolf way down the list. The teddy bear.
Damn it! I never wanted to kick you off the show, but
I got other stuff to do.
He got his eyes shut out. It was a hate crime.
I'll survive.
So, well, you know what? He didn't survive. Now, did he? He's naked on somebody's floor. Anyway. So what about you?
With a patch to one eye.
What about you? As far as another ranking.
Gary Busey takes that patch off, covers the dick.
Janie don't see this.
Children's present, Janie.
Good job, Uncle Red. That's another cool list as top 10 transformation scenes. But Seth, what about you? I know American Werewolf in London's your favorite. Is Wolfman the number 2?
No, actually, surprisingly not.
Why are we even doing this episode?
What is happening?
I love werewolves. Like, there's so many good werewolf movies. Like, I did a top 25 werewolf movie list for the Horse Syndicate. It's on the website. And even doing that was very difficult because I felt guilty putting some over others. A lot of these I just love equally. I believe actually I did put the original is actually in the top 10, but it's not in the top 5. But the remake was my number 4. And that's mostly because of the werewolf itself, because of the makeup effects and all the gore, and like what Nate was saying earlier, with just how savage the werewolf was in that movie in comparison to the old movie when they, back then they couldn't show.
I'm just gonna strangle you.
Although
it was violent,
it was strangling, and then the characters talked about the throats being ripped, but that's because the motion picture production then. If you think that PA
Here's your list.
is bad now, it was way worse back. Yes. And this list sucks. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I looked at it a few, like a month ago, and I'm like, what the fuck was I smoking for? I think I put Big Bad Wolf above something, and I was like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah, Wolf Cop's on here.
Because I don't know if you've seen
that.
Wolf Cop is fun, all right?
At the same time,
with Jason Momoa.
The strangling in the original Wolfman is like some of the most violent scenes in those Universal horror movies. It's just like, oh, here Dracula's coming, and it's not that violent.
American Werewolf in Paris is number 11.
Here we go.
What are you smoking?
Going into the top 10. Oh, yeah. What's up, Silver Bullet? Oh, the Wolfman's number 8.
He said that.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing, though. It's like everyone before it, they're just as fucking good. I have a hard time trying to. I didn't want to put the Wolfman and the Wolfman too close together for some. I don't know. I have to redo this.
Oh, you had Wolfman at 3. Okay, so I agree with your top 5, except for the remake, pretty much.
Yeah, it's a good list.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, is I really do love the remake of the Wolfman, and I've been passionately defending it for the last 11 years. But there's just so many good ones, and even at my list right there, I'm like, I need to redo this because I've seen a few more since then. But do it. Some of the choices I made.
Do it.
I don't do crack, I swear.
Do it.
But
wolf crack is what you do. You do wolf crack.
Wolf crack. Wolf Cop 2, they do. They snort the moon rock.
I can't even bring myself to watch that. So I'm going to say that I would put the Wolfman 41 in my top 5 for sure. My top 10, I think the Wolfman 2010. Just the movie itself would probably be in the top 20, but not in the top 10. I agree with I think I am going to make my top 10 favorite werewolf looks, werewolf wolves, if you will, because I think that's a cool idea. Transformation scenes is another thing I'd like to do eventually. Seth, go ahead and make another list. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. Anyway, God, I'm saying some weird stuff tonight. But anyway, they're both good movies in their own right. I do prefer the 1941 movie overall. I mean, Lon Chaney Jr. is so charming. And that's my opinion. And real quick, which one you like better? That was very quick. Nate, which one do you like better?
The original.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jared, which one do you like better? Okay. And Seth, we saw your list. So
yeah,
2010 it is. Anyway, next week, actually, I haven't looked at the schedule. I think, do you guys have any idea what next week's episode is? Because I think it might be Night of the Creeps commentary. So be prepared. I like how Jared leaves and just goes laughing and hanging out and carrying on with other people. Thanks, Jared. And then makes weird noises. So thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for chiming in. Anybody who did, subscribe to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube. Check out thehorrorsyndicate.com where you can check out Seth's article, his old article from 2 years ago, top 25 werewolf movies. I'll put that in the description here. It's a worthy read because he says he lives, eats shits for werewolves. So for Nathan, for Zombie Survivor, for Sethy, have a good evening, and we'll see you next Thursday. And we out, bitches.